Hello and welcome to this episode of the Music City Mindset. We are located on all platforms wherever you listen to your podcasts or watch them on YouTube. We're located under the Nashville Fit Network. And big shout out to the Chattanooga. As most of y'all know, Nashville Fit has expanded to the Chattanooga area. So we're in front of a new audience of a new area code, and they're making their presence known. So shout out to y'all. And this is a very special episode. Special because we got a full house in here today. New setup in here. It's special because I don't have to do this by myself. Y'all don't have to just sit here and just listen to me. Starting off back second week in a row, co-owner of Board and Brush in Hendersonville. He graduated from Nashville School of the Arts with honors. When they gave him that diploma, he became the only person to crip walk across the entire stage at the Opry House. I was so proud of him in that moment that we got escorted out by the police. But I'm proud of him then, and I'm proud of him now. My best friend for 30 years, Evan Butler.
Yeah. Thank you. What an intro.
And to my right, the dude that started this whole thing with me, Glencliff great, TSU legend, a creator of champions with his business called The Training Corner, at Training Corner on Instagram, Mr. Deon Giddens.
Man, the intro, dog. The intro.
So, fellas, I want to bring y'all into a little conversation that I had with my lawyer. Shout out Eddie P Productions. He's got a kid. And y'all got kids, so I wanted to bring y'all into this. When you compare, especially if you're around your grandparents growing up, how your grandparents talk about how they came up. And you think about listening to how your parents came up, and now y'all that are raising kids, how they're coming up. It always seems like everybody talks about that previous generation like it was simpler times with everything we have now. I want to present an argument that it actually wasn't simpler times, especially when it comes to entertainment, sports, things like that, into what we have now. Because I started thinking back, there were times when like that Haystack album would come out. You had to come pick me up, drive to Rivergate, go to Media Play, wait in line, and then we'd be bumping Stack all day. But you compare that to now. I sent you a link the other day. Buck dropped a new album.
Yes, he did.
When I sent you that link to the album, did you listen to it right then?
No, I had to put the kids to bed, but I listened to it.
So you put the kids to bed, and then at your own convenience, you came back and listened to it when you were ready to listen to it.
Man.
That sounds a little simpler. Deon, we talked about you don't really have a diehard NFL team, right? Because like there wasn't the Titans around when we were growing up, right? How much simpler would it have been if we had streaming networks where, since we didn't have the Titans, you could be watching the Seattle Seahawks and streaming them, become a diehard, right?
There's more stuff at our disposal there, right now.
Exactly.
We do whatever we want to, click of a button.
So I would argue that makes things simpler.
In that case, yeah.
Because it also takes away the diehard aspect of things when it comes to fandom and who you listen to, who you cheer for, things like that. Because you had to carve time out of your schedule and make an effort to consume what you wanted to consume. Yep. If you wanted to see that new video, you had to get home for Carson Daly.
Or had the VHS recording.
VHS sitting there,
I'm dating myself, but the VHS,
the cassette tape to record it, you know. If you want to hear that new song and record that, if you wanted it on your voicemail and your, fading all that in and out.
We all did it.
You had to carve time out of your schedule to consume what you wanted to consume. So without further ado, I think that's a great segue to talk about the person we got with us here, because I know how me and him came up. I can only guess with you. When it's time for that 5 o'clock drop, baby, we roll something up and we get in the car. We had to carve time out of our day to choose to consume your voice, your opinions, and the fact that you took the time to carve time out of your schedule today to do this makes me not regret a second
Thank you.
of the time over the years. So without further ado, originally from the ATL, a Georgia Southern grad. He's been on the Nashville radio airwaves for over 23 years. He's a husband and a father. He's now the program director and still host of the afternoon show on 101.1 The Beat. host of the Dolewite podcast. He's been nominated for the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. In my personal opinion, can be credited for even bringing a hip-hop scene here to Nashville. The one, the only, the homie Dolewite.
Thanks, guys. And we're gonna use Georgia Southern grad loosely.
Okay, you went there.
I went there for 4.5 years.
Dude, you and me have so much in
I
common.
I didn't make it out.
All right.
I don't even know if I was a sophomore when I left. Like Scuba and I were no lie. Scuba and I were down there, and we started DJing. We started doing the radio thing, and then that became all that mattered. So like grades were like, if your grades were really bad, they wouldn't let you do a radio show. So one of us had to have somewhat decent grades every other semester, so we could put and that was it. And once we started doing that, and we really like got going on campus as the DJs, school took a back seat, and neither one of us made it out. But
well, you're here now. So
I'm here now.
You're here now. Doing
and I always say I spent just as much money as the other grads because I was there for 4.5 years. So
Man, so I went to DSU, HBCU.
Okay.
I also did not actually graduate.
Yeah, that's okay.
That school took a back seat to football and partying. If I gotta be honest, we talking about karma. So
that's the cool thing about my job was partying and throwing the party and all of that. So it was cool.
I was at your parties like it was my job.
I love it. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about your upbringing.
Okay.
ATL, what part of Atlanta?
So I grew up in Clayco. It's on the south side, close to the airport.
Okay.
And back then, like you say Clayco now, and people think like I get street cred for it, but it wasn't like that when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? It was a cool.
So it flipped.
So it flipped. It was a cool kind of suburban place to grow up. You know what I mean? 20 minutes from downtown.
The white dude then?
No, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like I grew up 10 minutes from like farms and 10 minutes from projects. So I mean like right there in the middle of where
ATL
urban Atlanta. No, I mean this was back then. Now everything is it's much bigger, and it's like I look now, and I haven't lived in Atlanta in half my life at this point, but I looked at I've been here. I'm Nashvilleian. Like the only thing I have Atlanta left is my area code on my phone number and my undying love and my toxic relationship with the Atlanta Falcons. So other than that,
when you sent me your phone number.
Yeah, that's it.
It was not a 615 number, dude. I started laughing.
And the only reason it's not is because I've had that number now for so long since I was. I mean, I've had that. I've been here 23 years. I had that number 2 years prior to coming here. So I mean, I've had that number for quarter of a century at this point. So it's like, why change it?
I'm the same way with mine.
Like I mean, there's no reason for me to change it. But those are the only two Atlanta. I'm a Nashville dude. But growing up where I grew up was a very different experience. I felt sometimes like I was almost like a fish out of water there. Like it was, I don't know. Like it's because it's a weird place to kind of fit in at that time growing up. You know what I mean? And so like I didn't really have much in common with the friends that I grew up with. I didn't have much in common with anybody. You know what I mean? It was until I went to Georgia Southern where I really like met my people. You know what I mean? And
I feel that so hard.
Yeah, like I mean, it just like that's where I was able to actually like. I think when you grow up in the same place, and my mom just sold that house that I grew up in last year. I mean, that we were in that house for a long time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think when you grow up in that environment, you become into adolescence, into teenage years, kind of what people that are around you expect you to be. And then when you're able to break out of that is when you really find out who you really are. And that's what I was when I went to Georgia Southern. So that was a good experience. Georgia Southern's in the middle of nowhere too. Like
really
3 hours, 3 hours south of Atlanta, an hour out of Savannah is probably the biggest city close to it. But I mean, it's nothing.
I ain't know it was that far. I mean,
I didn't either. I never really been there.
To play ball at Georgia Southern, football it is, but then a couple guys I trained, but I didn't know it was that deep. Man.
Yeah, no, it's down there.
Okay,
you're in the South.
Yeah.
So what was? It's still an HBCU.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not.
No,
Oh, it's not.
No.
I thought it was.
No.
So what was you said you were only there for a couple semesters? Like what was?
Well, I was there for 4.5 years, but I just didn't make it.
They need to give you an honorary degree.
They should give me an honorary. I agree with that.
I feel like as much as work you done put in.
Yeah, come on, man.
Man, like,
People
are there other notable?
Yeah.
Are there other like notable people that went there?
I think the CEO of Chick-fil-A went there. Chili from TLC went there for like a semester or two. A couple of members from Goody Mob went there for a semester or two. It's Georgia Southern is where you went then. It was known as a party school. Like we were a small school, but like we were ranked at the time as like top 5 party school by Playboy magazine. Like it was wild. Like it was a wild time.
I should have been down.
No. It was at that time. Like Georgia Southern was a place where you went, where you're like, I'm gonna go to college. Well, I'm not gonna make it to UGA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so you go to this place, and it was like the bigger school for people like me who weren't that serious about school.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So so Georgia Southern, that's where you met Scoob?
That's where I met Scoob. Yeah,
How did that introduction happen?
I don't even know how we first met. I know he lived down the hall from me, and we lived in the same dorm, which our dorm, after we moved out, was condemned because by the fire department. Yeah, it was awful. It was awful.
Hall wasn't far from it.
I was like TSU. I mean,
Y'all's fault at all.
Yeah, and I think if you lived in one of those like horrible dorms, like you get it. Like you're like, this place should have been condemned.
It's like it's not Section 8 because I got a scholarship.
Yeah, exactly what it was. So, but he lived down the hall from me, and I remember him playing basketball. It's probably the first we would play basketball outside, and I think my first impression was like he wasn't a great basketball player. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. But he talked better shit than anybody there.
That's
and so
half of it.
no matter what he did, like he would have like a comeback. Like no matter if he could be playing horribly, and he would just somebody talk shit to him, and he'd have like he was just quick. And I was like, this dude can talk some shit. Like I fuck with dude. And then he knew I had a radio show, and we were all like, I don't know if you guys remember freshman year of college, like everywhere you went like 30 deep.
30 deep.
Like your whole dorm.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were all there together all the time. And I remember he would always be like, man, my radio program was on the campus station 3 to 7 a.m. on like Saturday nights or Sunday morning, whatever you consider.
So as a freshman, you already had this going.
Yeah, freshman year,
wow.
I started myself. I started doing a show by myself. I knew I wanted to do radio, and Georgia Southern was literally the only school I got into. I only applied to 2, but it's the only one I got into.
50%.
Yeah, not bad.
That's a win.
I'm not showing off, but I'm not. But I got in somewhere. And so I had this radio show, and he would always be like, "Yo, I'm gonna come on the air with you one day." I'm like, "All right, cool, come on." And then I'd knock on his dorm room at 2:30 in the morning when I was getting ready to leave. He was either not there, asleep, nowhere to be found. So that went on for weeks. And every week he'd be like, "I'm coming." I'd be like, "Okay, bro." And then one week he actually opened the door. He was like, "Let's go." And I'm like, "Well, shit, let's go." And so the minute we went on air together, like it clicked. Like it was just, we knew there was something there.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't that good, but we knew there was something there. We've listened to tapes from back then too, and I've been like, God, we were awful, but we knew we were on to something.
Yeah.
And so I remember he came in. He went to school on the east side, in high school on the east side. He went to Redan, and there were a ton of people from Redan to Georgia Southern, and he called everybody that he knew at like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, like, "Hey, I'm on the radio. Turn it on," and you would hang up. And he called a ton of people. And our show just kind of took off, bro. Like we started doing this thing our sophomore year called the Top 25, where, I mean, this wouldn't hold up today. This was not, but we ranked the 25 finest women on campus, and that really brought us to another level. And this was acceptable in 1997 when we did it for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't do that now. I'm just saying, it was fine. You know what I mean? But that really got people talking on campus.
I bet it did.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
You were before your time.
Yeah, no.
Facebook started as like hotter.
Yeah, it's exactly how.
Dude, it's a trendsetter.
Yeah.
It's a slick way to shoot your shot.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
I think you should be on the list.
I mean, these women that were like beautiful women that had no idea who the hell we were, all of a sudden knew our names. And then we started DJing as well. We started doing party. I remember our first party was our freshman year, and we were throwing a party. We were just going to promote it. But then we didn't have any money for a DJ, so we're like, how are we going to DJ this? So we just went around to our dorm room, and we made a list of songs that we thought we would need to DJ this party, and we just borrowed the CDs from everybody between our dorm, like we had it, and we just borrowed everybody's CDs, and we threw our first party.
So when you say we threw a party,
Yeah, no, we really did. Yeah. So and then that summer we went back home and we worked all summer, and we got 2 turntables and a mixer and started DJing the next year.
Just figured it out.
Yeah, just figured it out. Yeah.
So before we move too far past that, you say that went on for weeks of you knocking on his door.
Yeah.
What, other than his shit talking, what was it about Scoob,
bro? I don't know.
That made you keep asking him and not moving on to someone else?
I don't know. So Scoob and I were born 6 days apart. Like his birthday was August 7th. Mine is August 13th. My father's birthday was August 7th. There's just something about dude that like, if you ever met him, and anybody that knew him will tell you this, he was a very inviting person, and he was somebody that if you had one conversation with him, we would always joke because like people would meet him for the first time and they would tell him their life story, and want some kind of wisdom or advice from him. And this was from the time he was 18 years old. Like, how much wisdom does an 18-year-old have? Not much. You know what I mean? Like, but he was just always had that effect on people. I'm not like that. I don't have that effect. I'm always around people that do. Like, my wife is like that. There's something about that energy in me that attracts. They're there. You know what I mean? And so I just knew that. I don't know, bro. Like I can't answer that question other than saying like the universe was just like there's something here.
I mean, you weren't wrong.
Yeah, I wasn't wrong. I was not wrong. No,
you were not wrong.
Right. Yeah,
not wrong. Yeah.
So then that led to what y'all were doing and causing a lot of traction. You got an offer from 101.
No, actually, yeah. No.
Well, okay.
So you went to a radio station after Love went off the air, Luda?
Yes. So our goal in life was to be on air in Atlanta at that point, right?
Yeah.
So Luda was a radio personality in Atlanta on it was Hot 97.5 at the time. It's Hot 107.9 now. And I remember Atlanta had just launched iHeart, actually the company I work for, had just launched a hip hop station in Atlanta. And so we had been special guests on Ryan Cameron's morning show a couple times just because we knew the producer. And his son went to Georgia, or I'm sorry, his brother went to Georgia Southern. My guy Abby, what up to Abby, man? Abby became one of our best friends down there. But anyway, we had gone, and so I'd kept in touch with with Ryan Cameron's co-host at the time was named Tawana James. I kept in touch with her, and I was just like, hey, there's this new station in Atlanta. Scoop and I want to try to go for it. Like, what do we need? And she was like, you need like a 5-minute air check, which is basically like what you would sound like on the radio if you got the job. And, just like a portfolio of pictures and all this stuff. And we were like, okay, cool. So we were like, we'll start working on that. And she called me back 20 minutes later. She was like, when you get that air check done, send it to me. She was like, and then she called me back again and was like, hey, I'm going to need that by tomorrow. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh, expedite.
Yeah. So, I mean, we go in this tiny studio at Georgia Southern, like not the main radio studio. They had this other production studio that was no bigger than like a child's closet. I mean, it was super small, and we were just, and they had no ventilation. It was like summer in Statesboro in South Georgia. It was hot as hell. And we're in there just sweating. But we put together our air check and it was good. You know what I mean? Like it was really good. And we knew nothing about air checks, none of this stuff. We put together all these pictures and everything. And we got it to UPS by 7:00, overnighted it. And then they called us back that Friday and they were like, hey, our program director wants to meet with you guys. So we went up there the next Friday. We met with the program director. We're in suits. Like, I didn't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know.
Brothers when they show up in tuxedos.
We didn't know how we were supposed to dress for a hip hop radio interview. So we were just like, fuck it, we're going to put on suits. We put on suits and everybody that saw us like, y'all know this is a hip hop station, right? Like, what the fuck are y'all dressed like that for? And we're like, all right, we'll just we'll get roasted. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? We go in there and we have the interview. We feel like it went pretty good. Ryan Cameron walks in the studio and I like, got into radio because of Ryan Cameron. Like, that was my radio idol growing up. And he was like, he asked Daryl, the program director, he was like, did you tell him yet? And we were like, tell us what? He was like, no, I ain't tell him. We were like, this is like 4:00. They're like, he's like, oh, you guys are going on air at 6:00. We're going to see what you guys sound like. I've always been in the suit. Yeah. Actually, what he said was, go somewhere and buy some clothes, and change your clothes and come back. You guys are going on air at 6:00. And like, I was shook, man. Like I've always been comfortable on air, But I was scared as hell. Like
That's
and
big, though.
yeah, the first 2 hours we were shaky, and then we kind of got into it, and then he was like, "I want you guys to come back next weekend," and we came back the next weekend. We did a Friday show and a Saturday show. He was like, "I want you guys to have this job, but wait till after the semester. I want you to transfer to Georgia State." And I was like, man, Georgia State ain't taking me. Like, I don't know if you've seen my grades, but we were like, just like, you know, when you have that opportunity, you're like, yeah, man, whatever. Like, yeah, we'll do that. And then we didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks. And we were actually doing an interview on our college show with Luda. We got off the air and we're like, hey, man, if you see Daryl, tell him to holler at us. Like, I mean, we get in touch with him. He was like, oh, Daryl took a job in Dallas. So we ain't had that job anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, heartbroken. We were shook.
Damn.
And then after that, I was like, I mean, I'm done with school. Like, I'm dropping out and I'm going to get on the station somehow. School stayed in school. I dropped out. And every Friday, the new program director, Jerry Smoking Bee, was doing a live broadcast from Club 112. And every Friday, I would go to 112 and I would just talk to him right before the broadcast started. So I'm not like imposing on his time. And I'm no lie, it's a true story. Like one weekend I had $16 to my name. I paid $15 to get into 112. I had $1 for the entire week. I was living with my mom and my dad, so I mean it wasn't that bad, but I still had $1 for the entire week. You know what I'm saying? Like like $1. But I got in, and eventually he was like, you know, you can take me to dinner one day. And I was like, cool. So I took him. We went to Houston's in Buckhead at the time. And I paid, which he was making six figures, and I'm making $7.15 an hour or whatever minimum wage was. But I paid, and he was like, "Look, man, I'm not going to give you a job, but I will give you an internship. I'll let you skip promotions. You can go straight to programming." And that's what I did. I went, and I got in good with everybody. I'm a likable person, and that's always kind of probably gotten me through more things than anything else. And so everybody there loved me. I was about to get Scuba an internship up there because he finally dropped out of school. He came up to get his internship, and the promotions director went to labor.
Said it like excited.
Yeah.
He finally dropped out.
What have you been thinking?
Yeah. He knew he wasn't graduating. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew. He knew in the back. He didn't want to admit it, but it took him a minute. And so we anyway, he would come. He didn't get that internship at that time, and then he just started coming up, and we would just cut our air checks, and we sent out 4, and we got 2 job offers, Nashville for the beat, and then another one in Macon, Georgia. And it was a pretty easy choice. No offense to Macon, Georgia, but
Yeah.
it was an easy choice.
So that was
it was an easy choice.
So obviously Nashville, bigger city than Macon.
Yes.
Making a little bit more.
Yeah.
As far as
They offered us. It's funny. They offered us $17,500 each here in Nashville. That was my first salary at the beat, and they offered us $17,500 to split in Macon. We were like, okay, man. We're going to Nashville.
So that's really a no-brainer.
Yeah,
no-brainer.
So anybody who's followed along knows, here's the story about y'all like sharing a room, Best Western,
yes.
Trinity Lane.
Oh my God, you guys did your.
We've been around.
Yeah, we've been around, dog. So at that time in the late '90s, Trinity Lane.
This is 2001, but Trinity Lane was
different.
Yeah.
I rode by there. The hotel, I don't even think it's there anymore.
No, it's down.
They bulldozed. Enough of this.
As they should have.
So obviously, we can say it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Nashville versus Macon, double the money, things like that. But in those times, Best Western, Trinity Lane, were there still times where it was like, maybe this wasn't the right decision?
Oh, yeah. And that's why we stayed at the Best Western for 6 months, because we were like, I don't know about that. And it wasn't the city. It was just what was going on with the job at the time. And so we were kind of like shaky, like, and we just kept staying at that Best Western. And then that summer, I think we started to enjoy it a little bit more. And we got an apartment at Riverfront. It's Riverfront condominiums now. It's Riverfront apartments then. Yeah. Right there by the Stockyard restaurant was there at the time, like right there. And the rent for a 2-bedroom was $829, and we split it. It was $415 each. And we lived downtown on the river. Like you think about that now, it's like, what the fuck, man?
Insane.
Yeah. You wouldn't get a 1-bedroom for that now. You know what I mean? Like, and we were there with a 2-bedroom for $829 a month, $415 each. So, but after that, things kind of started rolling. But those first 6 months were rough.
So when you talk about you finally started enjoying it a little bit more, given the theme and the name of this show here, what was it that allowed you to start enjoying it here a little bit more? Was that something internally of your own mindset, or was it like coworkers? Like, what was the big thing of like?
I think it was one, like, I think we had some early bumping heads with our program director at the time. So that was part of it. I think the other part of it was coming from Atlanta into Nashville at that time was a culture shock that you might not experience coming from Atlanta to Nashville now. Not as big of a jump as it was then. And I think that culture shock kind of hit me hard. Scoob was great with it throughout I was the one that was like a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like he was fine.
But it's totally different now.
Yeah.
Like the Nashville back then versus if you've been to Atlanta, I mean, you know what Atlanta is.
Yeah. So it was I had culture shock. I was living in a hotel. That I think when we got our apartment and everybody had their own space, you know what I mean? I think that's when the ball kind of started rolling. We started making friends here. I didn't have any friends here, you know what I mean? Like we started meeting people, knowing people, and you know, we started enjoying it more that summer, I remember.
I don't know how it felt on y'all's end, but on our end, like I said, I was in middle school. I felt like the city immediately embraced y'all.
It was the most I remember the first night we got here. So we got here December 10th, which is a Monday, 2001. They sent us right out to there's a rim shop in Hickory Hollow Mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I'm in TSU at that time,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what you're talking about. It's downstairs.
They sent us out there, and nobody had ever heard of us before. Like we had never done a radio show, nothing. And they were like, Dolewite and Scooby are headed out to whatever the rim shop was. I did
it's
too.
Right on the
rim
corner.
time, but,
It's something crazy. I know exactly.
I
what
want to say Twinkies.
But that was
Twinkies.
Twinkies had every commercial back then. I remember that. And there was hundreds of people there that showed up to meet us who they had never heard of. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are so many people out here? Like, don't nobody know me. Like, you know what I mean? But it was the love that we were shown from day one was insane. Like, I'd never experienced anything
to
like
your point, man. Like, I remember being in college and the city was starving for the hip hop.
Yeah.
Like nobody had it. Like we were, like you said, we had to go buy something here, do something here, but on the radio, and then you bringing everything we like here.
Yeah.
No, it hadn't happened.
And we were 23, like we were young. You know what I mean? Like we had energy. Like yeah. I could see. I understand. You know what I mean?
Like for
we used to sneak to Atlanta on the weekends without our parents knowing to get it. You know what I mean? So it was just like, finally, let's come home.
Yeah, there was actually like hip hop here because you did more than just talk on the radio. Like you were getting really in with the hip hop artists, right?
Artist
like
clubs.
The Tennessee Finest album.
Yeah.
Or mixtape.
I have that. I found one of those CDs on Amazon or something one day. Somebody sent me a link. They're like, "Did you know about this?" And then like you could buy one for like $10. I'm like, I didn't know you could still do this.
$10 when it came.
Yeah, no, it probably wasn't. So I bought it.
Yeah.
I didn't get a dime off of my own purchase, but you know it's fine. Figure out who's selling these things, but and I have it sitting on. I have a setup in my house where I can do mixes and stuff. So I.
So obviously, I mean, Memphis has the more hip hop coming out of that than Nashville does, but like those mixtapes and things you were doing, I mean, y'all were doing your best to like pump local artists. Yeah. And it seemed like with y'all's promotions that like Nashville hip hop was about to really tip that like tip over and really like be something.
And you had Buck went straight to stardom, like almost what a year after I think a year. Yeah, it was like the next year. We got here in December of 2001. By fall of 2002, 50 was the biggest rapper on the planet, and Buck was signed to him, and everybody knew that. So I mean, this was getting starting to buzz.
Because Buck and D-Tape been doing. I was in Buffalo in 2004, and I'm bumping G Unit, but everybody knew Nashville, so tied into y'all.
So
everybody
at that
knew.
time, it went from like you said, us having to go down to Atlanta to find hip hop or Memphis or something. But then you got Buck signing with 50, Haystack, which nobody really talks about no more, but like
we played a lot of Haystack back then.
He was
on Def Jam South.
Def Jam
South. I remember that.
Yes.
And then All Star before
Star,
he was going, Gotti and Jeezy, Cash Money.
Paper had his Paper had a run. It was Kwani had a run when I got here. Kwani was crazy. Yeah, when we first got here, Kwani was the guy.
He is the guy. Yeah.
And like, but then like all of that was starting to be like the next steps for someone to just jump out.
Yeah.
And now, if we want to fast forward, none of the, I mean, Buck's still putting out an album, but like nobody really like
it's wild
and
because
now Jelly Roll is the hottest thing in country music.
Yeah,
like
it's just wild, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what about our local hip hop artists from you helping jump it off to what it's gotten to? What's surprised you? Because you were on record talking about like you were kind of wrong about 50.
Yeah, yeah. We were at Mix Show Power Summit. That's a funny story. We were at Mix Show Power Summit, which used to be they would invite all the radio station DJs down to like Puerto Rico, and it was just this big party. I mean, like I saw 8 Mile a month before it came out, and Eminem's 2 rows in front of me. Yeah, like Missy Elliott and Lil Kim were behind me. It was just a wild time. And so I remember we were in the lobby, and everybody is like on 50's dick. And me and Scoop were like, why is everybody on this dude's dick, bro? Like, what the fuck? Like, it's 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I remember the How to Rob record, but like, what is he? Man, we came back like 2 weeks later in the club hit, and it was the biggest record ever. You know what I mean? We were like, hey, we fucked that one off. We got should have gotten that picture, but yeah.
Yep.
So like, what has surprised you, or maybe something that you saw coming from some of the local hip hop artists?
I think the surprise was, I think for me, like to see what Star has done, what Lido has done, and I'm not, and I told him this. God, we did something together a couple weeks ago, and I told him this, and I was like, I remember after Grey Goose, like back then it was like, can you make another huge hit like that?
Yeah.
And he never really tried to. And I remember back then thinking like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, he's got to come with like another hit. But he went and was just like, I'm just going to make music that I want to make, and I'm going to put it out there, and whoever fucks with it, and that's that. And that blossomed into a great career for him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, dude is, he kills it every time. You know what I mean? So
still doing it though at a high clip too though.
And he did it his way before anybody did it that way. Like nobody was doing what Lido did back then. And yeah, man, he had a vision, and it went against the norms of how to do it back then. And so to see that is beautiful to me.
He recorded that in the storage facility out in Clarksville Highway.
Yeah, that was Fade Eastwood's. That's my guy. Yeah, Fade is my brother, dude.
Marcus
like,
Kensler, man, I'm looking through the booth. I see Jeezy in the booth. I'm like, like who? First of all, like who is this and who is this? You know what I mean? So I'm like, dude, this is a good night.
Fade used to have
yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah, he used to have everybody come out to that to that storage unit, man. Like Gotti used to, like Gotti was on. He was an artist. He was a big artist. He would still come through the studio, through that studio, man. It's wild.
I saw you and Scooby open the Street Dream store.
Okay.
Wayne, Jim Jones, Ballin, but Lido come out. He did Grey Goose, but Pac-Man Jones come out.
Yes,
right after you. And I've always wondered if there's any more to that. If like you had a relationship with him,
with Pac-Man, yeah. So I mean, Pac-Man, those are interesting times. Pac is a wild dude, man. Who he was back then. He's much like I had Pac on the show last year sometime. Like he came through and did radio with me.
He's still wild.
No, he still is. He's a funny dude, man. But I remember one time me and Pac was somewhere, and we was at Crisis and Rob's party on Thursday nights at was it the Rhythm Kitchen back then? It was like off a third.
Yeah.
And I remember we were in a section.
I forgot about Rhythm Kitchen.
Yeah, I was there by myself. I think Pac may have been there by himself, but we were there, and there's a group of women there. And I was like, he was like, let's order a bottle. I'm like, cool, I'll split it with you. He was like, no, you ain't got to split it with me. I'm like, I don't know Pac that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not that dude. Like, no, but like, let me pay for it. He wouldn't take my money. And then, so we get a bottle of Goose. We pour up shots for everybody, whatever. And then there's probably about 3/4 of this bottle left. And he was like, man, you're going to take this to the head. And I'm like, I said, Pac, I'm not doing that, bro. Like, I'm not about to throw up in front of all these people. The club is packed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing that. He was like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, bro. Like, this is a hard stop here. And so he turns up his part of the bottle. He drinks half of what's left, and he hands me the bottle. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this. And he looked at me just so disappointed in me. Grabbed the bottle back and took the rest of it to the head. I'm like, this dude's got a game Sunday. I'm like, this is next level, bro. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, you got it, bro. Like, Pac, he was just an extra wild dude back then, man. You know what I mean?
Cool though, Pac.
Super cool dude, man.
Cool,
like,
and the city loves him. We still love him.
You can't not, like, he's a really likable person. You know what I mean?
I got into, I don't know if y'all remember Bar Nashville.
Yes.
Thursday nights would be fight night. And so I'd go in there and box every week. And
Underage.
underage. And
fight some dude that's like 30 or 17. That doesn't seem fair, but okay.
And Pac-Man was actually one of the celebrity guest referees, if that tells you.
It was wild, man.
Man, those were like early 2000s Nashville was a place to be.
Wow,
man.
it was, man.
Yeah, it really was, man.
Like
there was like lawlessness. There was no rules. It was just
no social media.
Yeah.
Man.
No rain cameras. No.
Yeah, none of that. It's just.
Well, I think that's a good place to take a break. We're going to take a small break, hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
And we are back having an incredible conversation with the homie Dolewite.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming through today.
Hey, man, thank you guys for having me. I enjoyed this.
So we've covered up a little bit of how you came up, what it was like, the love the city showed you when you got here.
Yeah.
So it pretty much seemed like it was a great fit. You and Scoob, on the radio show. Y'all started off late night, right?
7 to midnight, yeah.
Yeah. How long did y'all do that segment?
10 years. We did 7 to midnight for 10 years.
10 I know.
Who run it?
Yeah, Who Run It was 10 years, man. And then in November of 2011, we got promoted to afternoons. And then unfortunately, in February 2012 is when he passed away. So he was only on with me in the afternoon for 3 months before he passed away. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, man. That was
doesn't
wild.
seem like some of these years add up.
Man, it doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't, man. It's wild to think about that. Like now, like he's been gone 13 years. Jeez. And I can still tell you everything I did the day that he passed away. You know what I mean? Like that day is like etched in my memory forever. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. But you talk about the love they showed us when we first got here, but the love that I received when he passed away, next level. I've never felt anything like that before in my life, man. And I always tell people like, it feels like during that time, like I was just kind of floating and things were happening. I met my wife 6 months after he passed away. You know what I mean? It just felt like I was just, that's the only way I can describe it. It was just like that moment in time was just like, I was floating through it and getting things done. And it was wild, man. It was wild.
Was there a moment through there that like you had to think like, could you do this without him?
Yeah.
Do you leave? Do you go back to Atlanta? Like
I didn't know. So one, like I'm not really trained to do anything else. So I knew figure
it out.
And I was gonna have to figure this out. But I think the hardest part was becoming a one person show. Now, I mean, I had done shows by myself when he was sick or on vacation, stuff like that. But nothing long term. You know what I mean? Like
permanent.
Permanent. Yeah. Like I had to figure out how to be on air without him, which that was hard. And then also to come back in the same studio that we had been in for 10 years and sit across, like somebody's supposed to be across from me here.
Yeah.
And this person's not here anymore. That was tough too. But I remember and shout out to everybody that worked with me at that time, like in the iHeart building. Like I remember I emailed our market president at the time and I was just like, hey man, like I'm coming back on this date. I don't want a bunch of people hugging me and telling me, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want it to be that. Like
how much time did you take off?
I took 2 weeks.
Okay.
I took 2 weeks. And I felt like I needed to get back after that 2 weeks. 'Cause otherwise, like I felt like I was going to be at home. And I'm okay with sitting with my feelings. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like I can't just be here sitting with my feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like I've got time outside of work where I can come home and be with my feelings. Right now, let me go and let me do this work. But I told him, I was like, look, man, I don't want it to be a big show when I come back. I don't want it to be people hugging me and crying and all of this. Like, I'm not saying leave me alone, but I'm saying like, just treat me like you would any other day that I come to work. Back to it. Yeah, let's just go back to it.
I'm trying to hold it together. Don't break me.
Yeah. but shout out to everybody at Iowa because that's what they did. Like nobody came and was like, hey, how you? It was just like, I'm coming back to work and let me figure this thing out.
Try to keep it as normal as possible.
Right. Try to keep it as normal as it could be because I was getting used to a new normal at the time.
I mean, I already know where he's going with it because we grew up together. It was like listening to y'all banter the way you did showed that like two best friends could come together for a better good and do something great. And it was kind of like inspiration that like we could do that.
Yeah.
And listening to y'all. So it's kind of like we felt like we were living vicariously through y'all.
Oh, man,
and like
appreciate that.
Growing up the way where we grew up, I mean, we had to deal with, some deaths and things that were tragic, but that was kind of normal for where we grew up.
Right.
I would honestly, like, even watching our friends pass away, ODs, things like that, there was still that, like, invincible, like, we're going to be okay.
Right, bond that you guys had, yeah.
I think it really was, like, Scoop passing that was like, damn, like, this isn't always going to be forever.
Yeah. I remember my father saying, like, it would have been better if him or my mother passed away than Scoop. Like, because Scoop and I depended on each other. Like, our whole business was each other. Yeah. And I talked to him, no lie. Like, we were still doing, we were doing Mai at the time because we had switched from Karma to Mai. We had switched from Karma to Mai. And we
those parties were good too.
Yeah, no, they were amazing. Parties in Mai, And so we would come up with a different theme every week. And so that morning that he passed away, like, we had text, like, what are we doing next Thursday? It was just normal text conversation. Scoop and I talk shit to each other all the time. Yeah. At the time we were watching, I don't know if you guys watched Spartacus, but we were really into this show called Spartacus. And like we would curse each other out like they would on Spartacus. Like they would say like wild shit, you know what I'm saying? That's like, it's like a curse, but it's like, and so like one of the last things he said to me was like, fucketh off or something like that. Or shut the fucketh up or, it was something like that. Something stupid Spartacus wise. And then like an hour later, he passed away out of nowhere. Like, I mean, we had just spoken, like just text each other. Like, it's wild to me.
That's tough.
And that Thursday at Mai, Drake came through unexpectedly. Like we didn't pay him. He just came. And so we were like riding this high of Drake was at our party for the second time because he came to Karma once.
Yeah.
And we were kind of riding that high. And then he flew up to Detroit for his nephew's first birthday. And that was it. Yeah. It was wild, man.
Got the street named after him though.
We did. Yeah. That was the best. Big, that's the highlight of my career. No lie. Like when we were able to get that street named after him. That was my. If you ask me my favorite thing in my career, I would tell you that 100 times over. That it was getting that street named after school.
Well, even from just like being in front of microphones, I haven't been doing this long, but I've noticed with like his schedule being crazy and things like and trying to figure out how to do things and navigate this space for the show. There's been times where I've had to do things on my own. Just people have lives, right? And I realized that like me doing it by myself without the banter or the reaction of somebody,
different, bro.
It's so different. But at least I knew it was like, okay, well, this one wasn't a great episode, but he's coming back. We're going to do good,
Right.
So I've actually had even more respect for what you did to move on now.
Yeah.
Recently than I ever did. Feeling like I lost a friend.
Yeah, like it took me a minute to figure that out, to navigate that. Like it was probably a couple years before I was really felt comfortable and good about what I was doing, just because I was used to always having him there. You know what I mean? And we can make anything funny, you know what I mean? Like just by talking to each other. And like to not have that is weird. It's weird sitting in a room by yourself and talking, because when he's there we're talking to each other.
Right.
When I'm there I'm just talking. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
It's way different.
Man. So with that, you're talking about what y'all were talking about, themes and stuff like that. How did y'all come up with segments?
Okay.
So two-part. How did y'all come up with the segments, and especially because there were some that really hit, like Who Run It and all of that. Like, where did y'all get the idea for that? And were there some segments that, like, flopped that didn't go over well that y'all didn't do anymore?
I have to think about that. But Who Run It came from when I was in Atlanta. I was doing on the night show I was on. We did a high school check-in. I was on air with K Sly and ET, and we did a high school check-in. I remember when I left, I asked Kay Sly, like, hey, can I take the high school check-in with us to Nashville? And she was like, yeah, of course, go ahead. And so we originally started doing the high school check-in. And then, 3-6 was huge at the time, especially here, you know what I mean, in Tennessee. And we just made it less about high schools and teenagers and more about something that anybody could call up about. And so that's Who Run It kind of derived from the high school check-in, and it just kind of morphed into that, and then it became huge. Yeah, it's wild.
It was a big deal at school.
Yeah, I
called every night.
Yeah, I did.
We'd be all in the car, like,
hilarious.
Who got through? Did you get through? Like,
Exactly, man. Waiting to get through. You know
I cut a promo for, I forgot what high school it was. They were having like their 20-year high school reunion or whatever, and they asked me to do like a fake Who Run It for the promo for it, and I did it last year. Like, it was wild.
Such
like,
a good idea.
Yeah, no, it really was. I'm like, oh man, it made me feel good.
What I loved about Who Run It, because you get east side, north, west, all this, and then every now and then you'd have like a Dixon running.
Yeah.
And you always be like, nope.
Dixon ain't running shit.
I remember waiting the South Side. You know what I mean?
One of the biggest features we ever did was something called Fuck You Fridays. And we only did it for a small amount of time because they told us we couldn't do it anymore. But people would come. It just sounded like a bunch of bleeps on the radio. But people loved it. They would see us at like Hickory. I would go to Fat Caps every Friday before we went to Prism.
Fat
You
Caps.
remember Prism?
Oh,
yeah.
Prism was hard. Oh yeah.
So we would go there, and people would see me in the mall. And be like, I'm calling tonight for Fuck You Friday. Like, people love Fuck You Friday, but they wouldn't let us do it anymore.
They don't do the clubs like Prison no more, man.
Nah,
Shout out
man.
to T at Fat Cats too, man. Y'all had that thing rocking us.
Yeah.
Hickory Hollow Mall.
The crunkest show on your radio.
Man,
it was. I'm telling you.
Hickory Hollow Mall at that time was a whole different vibe. You know what I mean?
Wild.
Like,
I remember Buck pulling up with the umbrella, somebody holding it, walking in, when it shopped.
That was a time.
So you managed to put it back together just by yourself.
Yeah.
There wasn't really an option of
hire somebody else.
Hiring someone else.
I didn't even really consider it just because, like,
How do you
I don't
feel
know.
those shoes?
Yeah, it'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, I would have felt bad having somebody come in there. You know
Like,
what I mean?
even now.
Even now, yeah.
Well, even doing this and, like, preparing for this show with you and everything, it's still sometimes hard to just say your name. And you said, what, 13 years?
It's been 13 years.
It's still hard to just say,
you said Dolewite.
it's Dolewite School.
You hear it.
Yeah, you got to hear that.
Yeah.
But now you stayed with it. Now you're the program director.
Yeah, as of 2015. Yeah, I'm 10 years in that position now. Yeah.
So what was that like, especially dealing with, like, you kind of mentioned some of it was like the program director you didn't have, button heads. So how is that now, like, you being in that position?
A little bit different now, but when I first got it, I remember, like, I never wanted to be program director. Like, it wasn't something I aspired to be getting into this. I think after a couple experiences with different program directors, and not necessarily saying those were bad experiences, I just knew, like, I was getting older. I was in my 30s. I didn't want to work for another program director. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody that I work for. I'm just saying I didn't want to work for anybody else. And so originally what the plan was for me to be the assistant program director, which I got that title in 2014. They were going to hire somebody else, and then I was going to learn from that person. What happened was we went on a hiring freeze at the time. They picked the person out they wanted to hire, and during the time of the hiring freeze, ratings went up with me just running the show by myself. And so it was just like, all right,
no burning.
You got it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
just keep
you know, I don't know if you guys know a lot about corporate America, but they don't like to spend money they don't need to. So they're like, he's doing the job and it's going well. So we're going to, elevate me to it. And I've been blessed, man. Like, I mean, I've been able to work with great people. I mean, Zach Boog is now he's still on with us, but he's also doing mornings in Chicago. I had Lizette Love doing middays. She does multiple markets now. She's out in Sacramento now. Have Monty Mills now doing middays. And yeah, man, I've been able to kind of work with some amazing people. Like, I've been lucky with that. But I've also, like, at the same time, I'm very good at reading people, and so I can tell if this person's, most of the time I've made mistakes, but most of the time I can be like, if I'm gonna hire somebody, I'm like, all right, they're good people, and they'll be a good fit here.
Shout out to Tui and Joe Major.
Tui and Joe Major. Yeah. Hire both of them. Yeah.
How have you seen like radio change? Because to be honest with you, I got so excited when you texted back. You also responded immediately. I must have sent that right when you were just scrolling. But in the amount of people that I could call and be like, dude, I got Dolewite on. Is like, there were some people that are really
diminished over the years.
That were really excited. But then my circles have changed because so many people have moved here that didn't grow up here. Right. So I don't want to say diminished, like, you don't have that incredible legacy. Right. But obviously streaming,
it's
everything
different.
Has changed.
Our competition now is your phone. Yeah. It's not another radio station.
So how have you had to adapt and do things differently to stay relevant?
So what iHeart does a really good job of providing us information on how people use us and what they use us for. And so the thought process is you use radio when you want to check in, know what's going on in the world. And you use streaming when you want to check out. And so I just keep that in mind. And I also feel like you can listen to whatever song you want to listen to whenever you want now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You just pop it, you know what I mean? So I feel like that makes me have to be even better on air to give you a reason that you're going to miss something if you don't lock in with me when you're on your way home.
Sense of urgency.
Sense of urgency, exactly. FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah. And so it's not a different approach to me, honestly. It's like do the best you can to say something entertaining or provocative or I'm not one of those people. I'm not like a shock jock. I'm not going to say, if I say something, like, I mean it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just saying things for attention. Like, I'm just not that guy. So for me, it's just like if I'd rather, I don't like doing serious shows, honestly. Sometimes you have to, you know what I mean? Like you have things that happen in this world, school shootings or, police racism shit. You know what I'm saying? That I have to talk about when those things happen. I would rather be an escape. I would rather you go to work, you turn me on when you get off work, and you have a laugh with me for a minute. I would rather that be every day. And that is most days. But on days where, you have to, I always tell my wife this, like when I have to do those shows of, I think the most recent one was probably the school shooting at Antioch High School. And you try to do your best to give out the information that you know is true, and also take the reaction from your audience, see what they have to say. But I always say, like, when those shows are done, and this isn't a complaint because, like, I had one of my a really good friend of mine's son goes to Antioch High School, like, and was in the building when this happened, was in the lunchroom when that happened. And so, like, you go home and you're just drained from doing that show. Yeah. Whereas most of the time I go home and I feel fine. But after those shows where there's emotion, you feel drained. And you try not to complain about it because I wasn't there. Or like the tornadoes in 2020. Like, I didn't lose my house in the tornadoes in 2020. But you're doing these shows and you do feel drained afterwards. Mm-hmm. You just feel tired. Like, I just want to go home and go to bed after that. You know what I mean? And then you have to remind yourself that, like, hey, man, like, it could be a lot worse. And so I've always tried to, I'm going to say always, but recently in the past, 3-4 years since I've really been I've been doing a lot of like personal what's the word I'm looking for? Introspection. Is that a word? Y'all shut up. All right. So I've been doing a lot of that. Of like growth, personal growth situation. Exactly. Of what, not only like who I am, my likes and dislikes, why I am the way I am, but also like what real, like what being a man means, like what being really masculine means. And so I've been doing a lot of that and trying to approach things with gratitude. Yeah. Like, I get to do this. Like, I remember sometimes, like, I don't feel like having to do an extra mix or whatever, But then I gotta remind myself, like, bro, like you get to mix for a fucking living, dude. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like you could be there's so much worse shit you could be doing.
Yes.
You get to do this. Like, shut the fuck up, roll up your sleeves, and fucking do the mix. You know what I mean?
It's
like
necessary though. I mean, to look within and look yourself in the mirror. Like, hey man, you know, it needs to be an evaluation.
Yeah.
But also, you know, we talk about it sometimes. Like we get to come in here and do this.
Yeah.
Like knowing people want to do this.
Yeah.
But and then you've been doing it for over 20 years. It's like. I'm taking notes now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and for a long time, I went through a long period where like I was really taking it for granted, dude. Like I be open about that. Like I was really taking this shit for granted for a long time, for a couple years.
It is.
It's easy to do, man.
It is.
When it becomes your normal.
And you know what really woke me up is I went through. I had a perfect storm of financial bullshit happen to me, and I was fucking barely making it every month. And and because of that, I got back out there. I started DJing again. And I just realized when I started DJing again that like in clubs and shit, like this is part of who I am, bro. Like in order for me to be the best version of myself, I have to go do this. And if I don't go do this, a big part of myself is missing. And then I'm not really myself. And that causes, then it's just a fucking waterfall of bullshit.
It's a
It kinda
domino
surprised
effect.
me.
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
It kind
Yeah.
of surprised me at first.
That I came back and started doing. Yeah.
Shout out Black Rob. But
Man. I appreciate the opportunity him and Crisis gave me, man, because not only did I go back out and I was able to kind of fall in love with it again, and it's different from what I did back then. Like doing Bungalow I'm not background music because people do vibe to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm also not like screaming on the microphone and you know what I mean? All the shit that I used to do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that as much out of me as it used to. And I really got burned out for a minute. But now, man, it really does kind of fill up my cup a little bit. Like I'm happy to go out and do it, you know, a couple times a weekend. And I enjoy it, man. Like it's just I got to do the basics of me, and that's one of the basics of me.
Man.
Yeah.
It's like taking the gym away from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, exactly. and I lived that way for like I took a break, and I think I needed a break. And then my daughter, and I wanted to be around for my daughter. I didn't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now she's 7. She goes to bed at 8. I got to be there at 9. I ain't miss anything. You know what I mean? Like. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man.
Just a phone call away.
Just a phone call away. I'm 2 miles down the street. I'm lucky I got into downtown real estate at a very young age. So very lucky for that. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, like, bro, I've got a good life. Like, I've got no complaints at all. Like, yeah. And I wasn't that way. I was complaining for a long time.
We all do, man. Sometimes we got to get humble, though. You know
for sure.
It brings us back to, reality.
Yeah.
Like,
and it brought me back to DJing because I had to do it for the money. And then I was just like, about the second or third week, I was just like, this is who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just knew it. Like, I need to be doing
the
this.
identity of it.
Yeah. It's part of who I am.
We battle it with sports for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's a real sports identity thing, man. Like, once you finish playing it, you're trying to figure out, like, all right, what's
what
next?
do I do?
Does this define me? Like, what kind of man I'm going to be? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you got to ask yourself those questions.
Yeah, Julio Jones retired last week. He's my all-time favorite Falcon.
Yeah.
And I remember watching his little retirement speech and thinking, like, I'm a little worried about dude because I know nothing else about him other than he played football. You know what I mean? Like,
man.
Some guys have huge personality. Julio just played football. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, those that we're lucky enough to get to know them with their helmet off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just ball.
Yeah. And he did it as good, if not better, than anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely one of the greats.
Yeah, it's prime for sure.
You were, I mean, obviously, nominated for the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. You're definitely one of the greats.
Yeah, I didn't get in.
But you're finally getting the recognition, man. You're getting the recognition.
We're gonna make that happen.
I'll make. That's what I said. I mean, everybody that got in was like 90, and so I feel like I'm 46. I feel like I'm pretty old, but like I guess I'm not old enough to be in there.
You were young when this started, but like across all these genres, I don't know how many other radio stations you listened to or compared yourself or paid attention to, but Jerry House in the morning.
Yeah, I remember. I worked with Jerry that whole time that he was at iHeart.
Oh, for real?
Or not the whole time, but the whole time I was there, he was there until he left. I think 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. And I saw Jerry House twice that entire time.
Wow.
But we were doing nights, he was doing mornings, also like he was like Jerry House. He was this huge deal.
Yeah, big
deal.
deal.
He came in, he did his show, and that was it.
Dawson McAllister.
Yeah. Remember the name. I don't know Dawson personally.
He cared.
He had a late night thing where like he was like a therapist for like preteens.
I remember that. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
No, like that was the thing. Like Dawson McAllister, he gives a fuck.
Real generic advice.
Yeah.
Doug Banks in the morning.
Doug Banks. I remember Doug Banks was on us. He was the morning show when we got here. Yeah.
Another segment that I forgot to talk about. Beat the White Man
at Black
Trivia.
Yeah.
How did that start? When did that start?
You know what's wild is
because I love that as a white dude.
I didn't know he was white when they first got him. I don't think nobody.
I didn't either. I definitely thought he was a little.
Nobody knew, right?
Like, wait, don't white?
Bright skinned.
But Scuba and I actually started doing that when we used to have these listening sessions. We would have artists come in for meet and greets at the old studio, and Scuba and I started doing that on stage, just to kill time because artists are always fucking late. Yeah. So you got to have like material to hold people over and let them sit there and wait. And so it just randomly happened one day and we started doing it. And then every time we have one of those things, we would do it. But our PD at the time wouldn't let us do it on air. She thought it was too, I don't know, controversial. I don't think it's controversial, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so when she left, I remember thinking, first thing I'm doing is beat the White Man in Black Trivia. And that was the first thing I did I was like, I'm doing this on air. That's it. So I knew.
Was there anybody that had a problem with it? Like,
I mean, it's gotten a couple, you get occasional like sensitive white dude that'll be like, that's racist. I'm like, chill the fuck out, bro.
Yeah.
Chill, don't get me started on white people feeling racism, right? But be a whole episode. But I'll just be like, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah,
we're still doing it.
It's my biggest fucking feature. I'm not going to stop because you're upset. You know what I mean?
It's funny though.
Yeah.
You know
it was hilarious.
Yeah, especially when you lose.
Yeah.
You black, like, what the fuck? I think you know more than me.
Mad at the white dude.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you just had to be mad at yourself, really, because you didn't know it.
Yeah, right. Revoke your black card. Give it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, take that thing. So... Obviously, the newest thing is, you're back in the clubs, bungalow, things like that.
A little bit.
But like in the grand scheme of things, is obviously, I mean, you don't want to be like you said, 90 and like being in the clubs and stuff. Like, do you have a vision of like where you're trying to go? Like, what's next for?
What's wild is for a long time I was like, I got to start doing this. I got to start, and I was putting pressure on myself. Back when I was telling you, I was like really like ungrateful and now I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to ride this as long as I can. Whatever happens, I'm going to let happen. And that'll be that. Yeah, my goal would be to pay off my house. Like, if I can pay off my house,
good.
Then
Money.
Yeah, I can figure out everything else.
Is there a lot of turnover in radio DJs going from city to this city?
I'm a fucking unicorn. Like,
That's a great question. I'm like, man, how many people are doing it?
Because like in Nashville, like you said, we mentioned Jerry House
rare.
and like things like that. That like it's just been the same.
I'm longest running at this point in Nashville.
Yeah,
gotta be. I'm like, man, I don't know anybody else who's been around that long.
Yeah, and most
you've never
people
been on mornings, which is wild.
Yeah, no, and most people do in radio. They move around a lot. They move around a lot, or they'll switch stations or whatever. And I've been lucky, man. Like 20. I don't take that lightly. Like. Some people are like, well, they can't fire you. I'm like, bro, they can fire anybody at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's so much movement in some of the other shows or other
markets,
stations and stuff that almost like, and I mean, obviously you don't have to say numbers, but like, is it like a regular job as far as employment, or is it more like a contract like NFL players?
It's a mixture of both. I'm under contract.
Okay.
But it's a regular job.
Okay.
It's a regular job. You know what I mean?
So it's basically yours until you fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, but it's also, we also work in corporate America, and they at any point they could be like, we don't need you anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've been lucky, man. Like I don't let that like I have been lucky. You know what I mean? To make it this long. Like, I really have.
Was there ever a point of, like, if we're comparing it to, like, NFL players, like, your trade stock is at the highest. Was there a point of, like, were you ever shopping around to see if you could go somewhere else?
One time we got an offer from St. Louis to do mornings. And this was back with Scuba, and I think this is probably 07 maybe. And they were rolling out the red carpet for us. They were paying us a ton more money than we were making here. And we went up there, we interviewed, they made us an offer. We turned down the first offer because, it was bullshit. And then they made us a crazy offer, and we were like, I was like, all right, I guess we're doing this. And at that same time, Scoob's great grandmother, who had a huge hand in raising him, passed away. And he was like, I can't make a move right now. He was like, if you want to take it, you can take it, but I can't make a move right now. I'm like, they didn't offer me shit. They offered us the job. So if you here, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, that's that. Like, we in this together. They'll be, we want other opportunities, they'll be there. So, and
the way y'all split things was crazy, man.
And let me tell you, the wild shit was a year after that, they blew out that morning show and went syndicated. A year after that, they flipped the entire station.
Wow, man. Y'all would have win.
Dodged a fucking bullet.
Yes, a bullet.
Damn.
God bless
Dodged a fucking bullet.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But yeah, no, we split everything down the middle. We split
from the
every
very
dollar.
beginning.
From the very beginning. Because there's always going to be a time, like, especially when you're doing something for a long period of time. And I don't know why we knew we were going to be doing this for a long period of time. We just did. But I feel like there was going to be times where I was the hotter of the two. There's going to be times where he was the one that was bringing in more money. And when you have those are the things, that's how people get jealous or envious, and that's how shit breaks up. So we were just like, we would compare checks. Like, if his check had $50 more, he was giving me $25, the same thing.
That's a real one right
we split every dollar down the middle, like whether it was paid for from the radio station, paid for, out making cash at the clubs, everything down the middle. If somebody hired me to DJ a night, half that money went to school. If somebody hired him, half that money went to me, every time.
Well,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's dope though.
Yeah.
Like, to do it like that, man.
Well, they're like, we can't afford both of you, but
but you actually are.
Yeah, but I mean, we wouldn't tell you that, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
if we both get in on it, we would, you know what I mean? But we split every dollar. Every dollar.
Man, that's crazy. So obviously, the from literally day one at the rim shop, you had nothing but love here in Nashville. Yeah. At what point did you really truly feel like reference to yourself, like you said, like a Nashvilleian? Like, at what point did this become home?
That's a good question. I would say during the Karma days when Karma started like this. Like, I woke up on my 30th birthday. I was still living check to check, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And we had this idea that it was Scoob and I, intern Adam from 107.5 The River, and DJ Lunchbox, who was also on 107.5 The River. We were going to do like a big mixed party, mixed crowd party. And we did the first one. It was Sky Lounge before it was Karma. And we did the first one at Sky Lounge. And it was all right. Adam was like, he didn't even say, he just stopped promoting it and stopped coming. So we were like, all right, he's out. We weren't making any money anyway, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, man, like the ball started rolling. I remember at one point I was doing a lot of shit at the time. And I told Scoob, like, hey man, we can't keep doing this party for no money. Like, I just can't keep showing up here every Thursday night with no money. And we were going to tell Surrey, the owner, shout out to Surrey, man. Surrey's a great dude. That one night, I think it was in April. And I was like, we were going to tell him after that night, like, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. And we had an okay night. It wasn't great. We had an okay night. And Scoob came up to me and was like, man, I just got a feeling about this party. And I was like, all right, we'll keep going. And then July 4th came. I did he did Karma by himself because I went to Clarksville. We had DJ Drama in Clarksville. And so we were just trying to make as much money as possible. And he was hitting me all night like, you would not fucking believe this shit. Like, it was fucking packed. And then that was it. From then on, Thursday nights at Karma were like a thing. Karma Wasted became a thing.
Karma, if you weren't in that era, you just had to be there.
Man.
Every Titans player you could think, every person who was somebody in the city.
We made
Thursday night.
We made ESPN because Kenny Britt, that fight that Kenny Britt got
there
in.
that night.
Yeah.
I was there that night. Yeah, I was there that night. Went all the way out to the parking lot.
That fight with Kenny Britt was at Karma, man. They mentioned Karma on ESPN. We were like, yes, we made it. We made it.
Great nights at Karma. I can tell you the whole rundown off camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kevin Hart came to that party.
Bro.
Fucking Black Eyed Peas came to that party. Man, Drake came to that party. Like, it was wild.
All of them. Man, what's the other comedian, man? All the comedians come in and Zanies, they come in and do everything. At Karma, man.
We never paid anybody to come in.
No, but it was a spot.
It was just
you would have never known that.
Everybody came.
Yeah, if you asked around, like, hey, Karma's a spot.
That's why, like, if you look at, like, I still look at those old flyers sometimes and laugh, but like, we never promoted anybody was going to be there, even if we thought they might, because we didn't pay anybody. So, like, if they decide not to show up, like, you're not about to be cursing me out because Drake didn't show up and I told you he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we knew early in the day that he was coming. Yeah. Which is wild.
I mean, it was a small spot. You got to go up 100 flight of stairs. You know what I'm saying?
Steps is a killer.
Then you drunk, and I'm telling you, I've seen people fall down the stairs.
I was going to say, coming down was worse than going up.
Oh, yeah, because you were drunk.
Hammered.
People used to get so drunk at that party, dude.
Yeah, like, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I told you. I get a
glass of vodka. My cousin spitting everything on the couch. I'm talking about he got kicked out. I'm talking about birthdays. I think I had a birthday that one night. Yeah, it was wild, man. Shout out to Karma days.
Yeah, that was probably the peak of my single life, man. Was
I think for everybody was.
Yeah. It ain't getting better after that.
Nah.
Yeah. That was the peak of it.
Oh man.
Had to be there for that.
Bro.
Yeah, that's way back.
The Karma was that was my time, man. That was my time.
Whew. I mean, I think that pretty much. I don't know how you get much better than that.
It's. I mean, to me, like I said, I think you're a Nashville legend, man.
Oh man, thank you.
I'm serious, man. Like,
for sure.
You know, a little bit older than him, we run the same age group, but I remember when it happened. So for me, it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Like, just even the transition from, you know, we talk about the Titans weren't here yet.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff had to take place, and then the way that you blended the hip hop along with what's happening in the streets and just the connection and the chemistry, man, I think it's one of a kind, man. So hats off to you, man.
And them early, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And them early too. I remember we first got here, and I mean coming from Atlanta, like, because there was a million spots in Atlanta, so we didn't see that many like pro football players, but here. There was like one party every Friday or Saturday night, and like McNair and Eddie George and Javon, all them dudes was out. Yeah. And I remember just being starstruck. Like, Eddie was, I think, on the cover of Madden when we moved here. And I'm like, this man is like right here. I remember the first time I met Eddie George, he was DJing too, and he was like, we had two ways. He was like, man, let me get you two-way. I'm going to come by and grab some records from you, blah, blah. I'm like, fucking Eddie George has my fucking number, bro. Like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy.
It was one of a kind, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, just that whole.
Faded after hours.
Oh, yeah. Man. It's crazy nice. But the Nashville scene, though, I think, like I said, just, you know, but we all feel like the hip-hop scene came in. Y'all did it. And y'all, to me, still just took over.
Thank you.
From day one, in my opinion. You know
I appreciate it.
So, for sure.
We had some times, man, and you know, you don't make it this long without being supported by the city. You know what I mean? Like if I was hated, I wouldn't have made it this long. So like the support from the city means so much. And like I said, man, like the biggest thing I ever pulled off was Scoop Street, and that doesn't happen without people. You know what I'm saying? Because what we had to do, shout out to Lionel Matthews, who was a city councilman at the time, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Can we name a street after him?" He was like, "Yep." And so he started looking for locations, and then they wouldn't. The people who were living on that street didn't want to change their street address, the businesses and stuff. And I understood that. Like, I wasn't tripping. He was like, I'm gonna push through an honorary street bill, and so he did it. And then he was like, all right. Then he texted me. He was like, that went through. Now, in order to have the honorary street named after him, we need X amount of people over the next 48 hours to email, I support this, blah, blah, blah. Like less than 24 hours later, he texted me and was like, hey, man, we've had so much. They're asking me to stop the emails. Like, I went on the radio and did a social media post and was like,
that's wild.
Yeah, he was like, they've had enough. Like, we've got it. You're good. Just please tell them not to email anymore because they've had so many emails. And I'm like,
call the dogs off.
Holy shit, man.
That R.I.P. Scooby song.
Oh, yeah, that was big.
Yeah. I mean, it was playing.
It's still hard for me to listen to. honestly stay away from it sometimes. Like, I
can imagine.
If I think of it, like, I'm like, all right, you can't play that. Like, it's still.
That was a banger, though.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Shout out to everybody that was on that. That was Kwani, Paper, Buck, Lito, Sticks, and Fate. Yeah, it's a crazy line. Yeah, man.
It sucks that something tragic like that has to happen to bring
everybody together.
Yeah.
I feel like Scoop Spirit's still with you, though.
Man, it always is, man. I always say, like, man, the random things that happened to me in the year after he passed away, it can't be explained. It's just, you've got somebody pulling strings for you. You know what I'm saying? I met my wife 6 months after that.
He needs
out
somebody.
of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like,
he can't be alone.
I don't know if you've seen my wife. She's way hotter than I am. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll kick your coverage.
I'll kick the coverage.
Yeah,
like,
I did too. I did too. So
you know what I mean? So, like, you know what I mean? There's no explaining that, you know, that didn't happen by myself. You know what I'm saying? I got somebody looking out for me.
No other way to explain it.
Yeah, no. I can't explain it other than that. Yeah.
Shout out Scoob. Yeah. Dolewite and Scooby forever, man.
Forever, man. Thank you.
So, man, I appreciate you coming. Evan, man, appreciate you being on again for the second week. Blake, you know what it is, man. Always a pleasure doing this. Dolewite, icon legend, thank you for coming in.
Hey, man, thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, man. So I know you liked it. We loved it. Make sure you hit the link.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry.
My bad.
No, you're good. No, you're good. No, it's on me.
Yeah.
Like any show, we have like a sign off.
Okay.
Would you do us the honor of after I'd give a sign off to sign us off the way
sign off the radio every day?
Yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah. All right.
Let's start this off.
Yeah.
Let's start this off. Evan, my man, I appreciate you coming through. Second week, Blake, the one who came up with this thing, man. I appreciate you for having us as a co-host.
Thank you.
Always an honor and a pleasure. Dolewite, the legend, icon.
Thank you.
And make sure you hit the link. Make sure you subscribe. I know you liked it. Stay tuned. More big stuff coming on the way.
Yep. And for the love of Nashville, tune into the next one.
All right. Forever School, my brother. Stop sarcoidosis. I'm gone.
Yeah, that's a wrap.